And welcome to this episode of 10 Minutes. During this segment, we'll be talking about the new up-and-coming Broadway show called Mounatin. This play revolves around the two main themes that were pulled from the book written by Charles Frazier: isolation and meaninglessness of war. During the program, we will be previewing several main clips and interviewing all the characters. Hopefully, by the end of the broadcast, you will have a better understanding of the book. Enjoy!
Hello, welcome to the show. Oh, thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Hi, me too.
So what caused y'all to want to play a character in the new Broadway show based on the book by Charles Frazier?
Well, when I first heard that this book was being turned into a Broadway performance, I felt like someone strong in me to play the role of Ada. The hardships of war brought into her life made her a figure of independence, and I thought that I could portray this character in the best way.
Well, when I first read Mounatin, I didn't really see any deep meaning at all. But after reading the book a second time, I realized it wasn't simply about war or romance. There's a lot of different, deep meanings in the book that I thought I was able to personally connect to.
So it sounds like you both read the book. What ways do you believe that your character experienced isolation?
Well, I almost felt pity towards her because she was completely alone back at Black Cove after Inman left her and Monroe died. She had to build a new life for herself, and that's where Ruby started to come into place. And they became really successful after starting a new life and to live on their own, and being dependent on only themselves. The estrangement that Charleston society brought to her really formed a sense of alienation, and she couldn't be released from that.
Well, Inman seems to feel a profound sense of loneliness and isolation from the human world after the war. He also experiences spiritual desolation, which is suggested when he listens to many people's tales of their brutal past, but he seems not to tell about his own past, which shows he might be isolated from the human world.
How do you believe this theme was played throughout the book?
Well, I'll answer this one. Frazier thought throughout the book that he just really shows how Inman's solitude is not simply a physical state. It's also a psychic introspection born from a need to find meaning in life, His whole journey, he meets new people, yet he seems as if he's always searching for something. Also, Ada over here, she's always isolated back at Black Cove.
What do you think the main cause of isolation was for both characters?
Well, for Ada, the main cause of isolation was definitely the death of Monroe and the separation from Inman. She was dependent on both these characters, and they left her with nothing to spare.
Well, I think because of the gruesome experiences of the war, Inman begins to feel more constantly thinking about each other, which shows spiritually we are connected.
Alright, now let's see another clip from the show. This theme section shows that war is meaningless. What do you think Charles Fraser includes in the story to show how war is meaningless?
Well, really from the beginning, Fraser shows how my character sees the war as pointless. Eamon leaves the war, which shows he obviously doesn't agree with it. But another example we'll take from the book I found talks about the goat woman. Here it is. The goat woman is this: slave owning makes the rich man poor, proud, and ugly, and it makes the poor man mean. It's a curse laid on the land. We've lit a fire, and now it's burning us down. Now, even though the goat lady has a very small section of the book, I think she was very purposely made to be important. Her witty personality influences Eamon, and it shows how Eamon views the war. The fire that is lit is the start of the war. After the war was started, it started to burn down and corrupt everyone. Therefore, what is the purpose of the war, I thought?
But when did Eamon really begin to see the war as meaningless?
Well, at the beginning of the story, Eamon reveals stories of his brutal past, as he's talking with the blind man. Here we see Eamon's real-life experiences with the war, seeing dead bodies scattered everywhere along the battlefield, taking the boots off soldiers, smashing people's heads with hammers. And from these stories it is inferred that Eamon begins to question the humanity of the war and the overall purpose. I believe this is where Eamon sees the war as meaningless.
Now let's talk about the video.
Alright.
Why did you kill the soldier in the first place?
Well, his purpose for killing the soldier was to get the boots. Now, after I kill the soldier and get the boots, I seem confused as to why I actually killed the soldier. I begin to question myself.
What exactly were you thinking after you killed the soldier?
Well, after the killing, I began to think lots of different things in my head. My character in the play begins to question himself and the motivations for killings of many people. Before this killing, I'd never really wondered about the soldiers' lives while I was killing. Therefore, Eamon begins to ponder what exactly is the meaning of war.
In conclusion, Cold Mountain has a deeper meaning than what is obvious. The book turns out to portray that war is meaningless and is not just your typical war romance. Hopefully you have come to understand these ideas and maybe read the book one day for yourself. Thanks, and tune in next week for the episode on Señor Montequias and his murder of 35 people. Thank you, and have a great night.